1 minute here.
Joyce went down to the Eagles tonight.
To win? We're going to find out if Troy comes.
They're at 4 o'clock this afternoon and she got the last table.
You're kidding me.
No.
I don't want to know. La 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 la. That's you, Jody. Gaveling down Jody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the January 24th, 2023 Tenino City Council work session. The first item, the only item in our work session per se is to discuss Planning Commission work that's been done working on proposed temporary RV permits. So this has been something that's been discussed at length at the Planning Commission. They don't come to us with a specific recommendation. They're not saying, we recommend the City Council do this, we recommend the City Council do that. They've talked about it at length. They really have, my understanding is they have no recommendation or opinion or position that they're forwarding. They're essentially done talking about it, and they are moving the issue onto our agenda for us to talk about it. So we don't have a lot of we don't have guidance, we don't have a position written up, but we're opening it up for discussion. What I really want to hear from is staff comments. I believe Rainey is supposed to be here.
Yeah, but if you want, I can share a little bit about.
Well, I kind of want it from those folks, but you can. But you've been at the Planning Commission meetings, but really we want to hear from Rainey. And then Troy, I told him I wanted to come, but I guess there's this big thing going on at the Eagles. And
He said he wasn't going to that.
he told me he was like, he wanted to go win that card or something.
$37,000.
He told me it was $41,000 on the line. I don't know.
200 and something.
Okay, so I don't see him in the audience. I'm not going to call him, but I strongly requested his presence to talk about staff concerns.
Be here by 7:30.
Yeah, but we're talking about it in the work session. It's not on the agenda, but I can talk about it. Jen can talk about it, but it's really important that council gets the opportunity to hear from the staff that are going to be out in the city, kind of working on these issues. So let's pull it up on the agenda and see what we got. So we have an ordinance. It's a draft ordinance, and again, there's no recommendation from anybody, but I'll read the ordinance. Whereas a recreational vehicle or travel trailer, collectively RV, located in a residential lot within the city of Tenino for conditional temporary occupancy is beneficial to residents who may need family or friends nearby to assist with safety and care, who have family or friends in the process of relocating and for various other reasons. And the city currently allows under Tenino Municipal Code 108.40.140 for temporary stays in permitted RV parks, and the city must balance the benefits of temporary RV occupancy on residential lots with problems that may be associated with unrestricted occupancy. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Tenino, Washington, do ordain as follows. Section 1, it is the intention of the City Council, and it is hereby ordained that the provisions of this ordinance shall become and be made a part of the Code of Ordinances, City of Tenino, Washington, and the section of the code and this ordinance may be renumbered to accomplish that intention. A new chapter numbered blank entitled Temporary Occupancy of Recreational Vehicles on Residential Lots shall be added to the Tenino Municipal Code as described in Exhibit A, attached hereto, made part hereof and incorporated herein by reference. The ordinance shall become effective 5 days after the publication is required by law. If adopted, there's the date. It's been reviewed by the attorney. Temporary or recreational vehicle or travel trailer. A recreational vehicle, RV, located on residential may, other recreational vehicles, travel trailers, standards set forth. Temporary occupancy of a recreational vehicle or travel trailer is permitted in all appropriate zones when in compliance with the following. It is within city limits. Only a recreational vehicle or travel trailer located on a lot developed with a principal dwelling unit or dwelling under construction or remodel may be occupied for temporary time of, and there's some things that were stricken out, up to, we do allow now for the occupancy of for a person to stay in a travel trailer on their property when it's associated with a dwelling or a dwelling being developed. So if you are remodeling your house, you currently, under current rules, if you're remodeling your house, you can stay in your RV temporarily. If you are building a house, if you have the permit and it's for a very specific amount of days, you can stay in the trailer while your house is being built. Up to 60 days, and be renewed up to an additional 60 days as determined by the city without submission of another permit application. Occupancy of RVs or travel trailers on developed residential property of less than 30 consecutive days within 120-day periods do not exceed city approval. They must be in good working order. Such condition as to provide for safe, effective use. Travel trailers shall have access to adequate power. They need to have access to adequate power and water at the site. In addition, through the permitting process, methods of wastewater disposal shall be established. If connection to city sewer systems is established through an approved connection, the property owner will be charged $25 per month on the utility customer's bill. No gray or black water shall be discharged on the property. Any evidence of such will cause immediate revocation. The utility customer will be responsible for any unpaid charges. No generators will be allowed. Garbage and sanitation shall be disposed of in a manner approved by the city. Recreational vehicles or travel trailers shall only be placed in side yards or backyards where a house exists. Property a minimum of 10-foot clearance shall be maintained from the property lines. At the discretion of the city, temporary occupancy of an RV or travel trailer shall include a site plan or map showing proposed placement. Saying this will modify any pre-existing codes. Violation of a temporary occupancy permit shall be punishable as a Class 1 civil infraction pursuant to RCW 780120. So that is what is presented from the Planning Commission. So we have laws in place that allow, under certain circumstances, very limited stays. And this if we do make a change, and again, the Planning Commission is not recommending we make a change, but they have given us no guidance. These are some possible changes. So it is on our...
Are they asking for an additional 60 days?
It's hard for me to tell.
Because I can't figure...
No, they're cutting it down from 120 down to 60, and then if you still need more time, you can come back and get another 60.
Without getting another permit.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. Yeah. Without applying for it.
So how does... Yeah, I wish Rainey was here, because that'd be nice to ask how he would manage that.
Can I chime in?
Please.
Okay.
Anybody call Rainey?
I did.
Okay.
I'll just fill in what I do know because I sit in on the planning commission meetings. A planning commissioner thought, wanted someone to be able to stay in an RV at his house during the summer, a family member. So that's how this whole thing started coming, maybe we could create a special temporary occupancy, not a temporary, kind of, for an RV. Yeah. That is the gray area. They wanted to do 120 days. The attorney recommended we cut it to 60.
What is currently allowed?
15.
15,
15
1
days.
5.
1-5.
Thank you.
Without a permit, you're allowed to stay in it for 15 days.
How long with a permit?
Huh?
How long?
We don't have a permit. That's
Yeah,
what
we
this
don't
is.
have a permit.
And,
So
and
this
that
is what-
15-day stay does not, it doesn't include these constraints.
Correct.
Like you
There's
don't have to be
you don't
hooked up
have
to
to-
sewer. You don't have to be hooked up
Correct.
to power. Okay.
Right. You don't have to get any type of permit. You don't have to contact the city. You can just do that. If this was into play, they want to, you have to have a special power.
You have to be able to plug into the house.
Yes, because there was just a fire in town last week because someone didn't have the proper connection for their RV. So that was something Rainey wanted to touch on. There's still the issue of the sewer, if they could hook up to our sewer, if they were going to be there longer. There was talk of they would have to have a concrete pad to park it on, if it would have to be in the backyard, but some people, can't put it in the backyard. So it's kind of like very early stages coming to you guys.
So this is basically establishing a permit.
Right.
For this to happen.
Yes.
You don't have a permit now, so that's.
Yeah, so, first off, the council, and you don't even, we're not asking you to decide it, we're asking you to discuss it. So for us to ask any decisions to be made, it would have to be placed on the actual business calendar. It'd have to be placed on the agenda, which we wouldn't do tonight. You could place it on a future agenda. You could have this on the work session for a while and we could talk it out. I think hearing from staff would be important. Generally speaking, not having a permit sometimes makes it harder to regulate things. Having a permit and having it to where things are regulated might even make it more enforceable. But I would want to ask the enforcement officer what his thoughts are, because I do know that he has a hard time managing kind of the RV stays as it is. So Rainey goes along and it's very difficult to say, well, you've been in there 15 days or 16 days, and the city is not designed for these. Say you've got a house with a sewer system that's designed to have so many people in it, and then all of a sudden you put another 3 people on the side of the house. We're not designed to support that, and the additional load on the sewer system, if you plug those things in there, there's no real way to meter effluent. So, we meter water that comes into a house. We don't meter the waste that exits a house. So, to keep things fair, we've got to take all these things into consideration.
I think it
But
was
I'm talking
also
too much, so
yeah, no,
you
it was
guys tell
also
me
talked
more.
about to just limit it for the first year if it was something we did do, to only let 5 of them be issued per year. But then that seems weird, because what if 5 people came in January to get this 60-day permit, and then why couldn't someone else apply for it in July and have it? So
Yeah.
all that stuff.
And what is that, at what point is it temporary occupancy and long-term occupancy? Because by state law, recreational vehicles are built for temporary residence.
Right.
The way that they're, the insulation is in them, the way they're wired, they're all for temporary stays. Can we even legally permit somebody to stay in something longer than a certain amount of period? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, what does good working order mean too? Because there could be
Right.
like with my instance a few years ago at our old place, there was a clunker that moved in.
A what?
An old rundown RV that was parked next to our
A
house.
motorhome, like an old beat up motorhome.
Yeah, an old beat up motorhome that the neighbors were using, and turned out to be drugs going in and out of there.
Yeah.
But it was still in good working order because it had power. So I don't know.
And that's something code enforcement's battling currently. We
Yeah.
have neighbors reporting people residing in RVs way longer, completely illegal, dumping gray water into our aquifer. These are problems. So it is a worry of him.
And this in no way has anything to do with RVs on the roads. So
Correct.
those, that is not ever permitted.
Correct.
And that's actually a law enforcement issue. If somebody parks an RV like they were doing on Ensign Road on our streets, this is a different issue. When it's on somebody's property, there are some allowances for that. And this law, that if you were to consider it, would create a secondary process outside of that 15-day window that is meant for your
grandma to come
relatives
for
come
2
in for
months.
Christmas.
Yeah.
15 days.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, the 15 days.
Question. So the RV parking that's right up here on Sussex.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that just a 15-day? That wouldn't be covered under this one?
No, that's another anomaly. At some point in the past, somehow the existence of that RV park was permitted or allowed to occur, and now it's been so long. We don't really have anything in law that allows that RV park, the one on Sussex.
Right.
Yeah, and we've tried to unravel that, that mess for a long time to understand, how it is permissible. And at this point, it's just that it's grandfathered in, and it's been there as long as I can remember.
I know it's been there a long
It was
time.
there in the 80s when I was a kid. And I don't know when it first existed. I don't know how it was first allowed. But we've spent quite a bit of time trying to ensure that it's safe and clean. I've gone on countless walkthroughs with our staff, Department of Health,
Yeah.
and to make sure that the effluent is actually going into something.
Okay, but this would not allow them to get a 60-day permit.
That is a good question.
Not necessarily.
See, that scares me. It does.
It doesn't
scares me,
have
because
any-
pretty soon you're gonna have all kinds of motorhomes and stuff parking their butts there for 60 days and then getting another 60, that's 120. Pretty soon you cannot get them out of there, and you cannot take their house because that is their residence.
It's a current issue we have right now with a resident in town that has been in an RV for over 6 months, and they have nowhere to go. And we've been giving them lots of resources. They have 7 dogs, so we can't help them find somewhere to live because no one will rent to them. I mean, it's like an ongoing, these are the kinds of things that
It
are,
scares me that is starting to move this direction. I'm sorry, but it scares me.
The state is looking at exactly that issue now on what to do with those type of issues. Question that I have, because I've seen it before, is when
thank you.
oh, it is on, thank you, is when
What?
somebody reaches the end of their permitted stay, how long do they have to leave before they can come back?
Right, because right now, the 15-day, if you're gone for 15 days, you can come back for 15 more days. Pretty sure that's how
On
it is.
15,
Yeah, but
off
that's
15,
that's
on
for
15.
places like out here. I'm talking about for these people, if they hit the 120 days, how
Yeah.
long do they have to leave before they can come back and start the process all over
Oh,
again?
on somebody's
Yeah.
private property, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I would say that you would codify in here something that says each residency or each property is allowed 1 permit per year. Something to that effect, or 1 permit
Yeah, that
a
would
lifetime.
have to be-
That's
have to be-
that's up to you guys. And the 60 days or 120 days, you guys could change it to 30 days. You guys could change it to no days, or we could just chew on this for a while. Just the planning commission talked about this over the course of how many meetings?
It's been discussed since July.
Yeah. So, I would say that they've given it a lot of deliberation, as should we. So we're not asking any decision be made tonight. That's why it's on the work session. We can keep it on the work session, and if there's any planning commission members that want to come in and provide testimony or advocate or talk about it, talk it down, or if there's, I know that there are staff members that have opinions.
I would like, if we could get the staff members and maybe a planning commission person to come and talk to us.
Yeah, and if there's specific questions that council has, say them right into the microphone. Jen will transcribe them, and we'll get them to the right staff members. So we've heard a couple questions, and if there are any others, we want to work on it and see if there's, if this can be worked on, if it's not tenable, if there's staff members that don't think it's enforceable.
Yeah, I just want to know how he would be able to manage it,
Yeah.
because I don't know, it seems pretty complicated.
And that, when he can stress that concern to the planning commission, they said, well, let's just limit it to 5 per year. So then that's the other thing that's.
5 citywide, but how do you do a lottery? How do you
Right.
decide?
That's
Yeah.
exactly what,
Like a first come.
We were worried
first
about
served.
first come, first served.
And that doesn't seem right.
yeah.
But it does say in here an additional 60 days as determined by the city. So, you can set it. So if you do get a clunker that comes next to you, then
That's the thing. I know for
If they
like
trash
mobile
the place.
homes to be moved into the city, they can't be older than 5 years old. So,
yeah.
not saying that would obviously wouldn't qualify for an RV, but there would need to be something defining what is a
Yeah.
non-clunker, if
Because,
that's
I
the
mean,
word of the night.
Well,
I mean, that's
yeah,
the thing,
I mean-
is like if they are, you know, throwing garbage out on the property, things like that would definitely be something to think about.
Yeah, it's
in
it's
any terms
upsetting.
of renewing.
Yeah, I think, and also the concern was the neighbors. You know, you didn't buy a house to have an RV parked in your neighbor's outside your bedroom window. You know, so is that going to
Yeah.
open up a complaint to your
However, if you
neighborhood?
own one, you can park it there and have it unoccupied.
Correct.
You know, that's,
Yeah.
But
so I understand
Yeah.
Nine
Yeah.
times out of
discussion.
Both
10,
sides.
the people that own them have got a fairly nice unit, you know, it's a nice looking thing.
yeah.
I mean, it's not a clunker. Usually.
I like that meaning. We should add it in here.
Word
Yeah,
of the night.
put that in.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Wait a
I love
second.
the clunker.
Go ahead.
What I would suggest is, knowing that the state is looking at this issue, it's different than what we're looking here. But if the state is going to do something and want to make sure that what they passed this session is we'll be able to comply with it. I don't think that what they're looking at is this, but it would be
Yeah.
better for us to make sure that it is not what we're looking at.
I think what you're talking about is
The
it's King
Ensign Road
County,
type stuff, yeah.
Seattle, King County, where they're having so much trouble, you know, with all the RVs and people living in them all over the city. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And when I
I'll
think
check it
about
out.
those, I think like a permit would help manage that type of
And that's what
situation.
Olympia finally did.
I would think, like, you know, like, okay, we'll issue a permit, but you got to meet these requirements.
Right.
And if you don't, you're not going to be allowed to stay in this thing. But those situations are also like on the roadway, which we're not
Right.
going to permit
No, okay.
on the roadway. I did not see anything like that in this, what the planning commission
No,
was
it's,
talking
it's
about.
not, like I said, I just wanted to.
See what I can find out about
Yeah.
what they're working on it. And
I just
for-
want to
for our
make sure
next
that
meeting.
we're not going against what the state is going to allow.
No, I don't think, I
You
think,
know, and I don't think this does, so we should be okay, but they're working on it. Let's see what they do before we decide to step into it and then have to redo everything all over again.
yeah,
That's why I think we need to wait.
let's just wait and see, Jason, if they know what they're doing.
Okay. We can hop into reports with the last 10 minutes of our work session if you all would like.
Yeah.
If I can figure out. what I'm
The
doing
first
here.
few are not gonna have any report because
Okay.
it's George and
Geor-
he's not here.
George is not with us tonight. Steady, I can, you know, I attended, you were at Steady.
Yeah.
You want to give the Steady
No, you
report?
can do it.
So the Steady meeting was held at the new county offices. Every local jurisdiction gave its report. John and I reported on the city of Tenino's happenings. And, you know, we talked about the sesquicentennial coming up. And we talked about various other subjects that we talk about at length in this in this council meeting. And then we got a tour of the county facility. It is a really nice, much more functional office space. I believe they moved the auditor's office there, the treasurer's office there, the commissioners, and was there anything else? Planning?
And they've got breakout rooms, and each one of the rooms are named for each one of the jurisdictions in Thurston County. They're pretty nice little rooms.
So there's several conference rooms, and there's a Tenino room, Rainier room, Rochester room, Olympia room, and the Tenino room, we get the opportunity to submit some decorations, some pictures, and that's something that Jessica is working on. And so we'll get some like historic photos up there and some things that are Tenino-centric to decorate the room. That's pretty cool. And the office is nice. It's much more open. It's much more functional. The lobby is a lot more useful to people that are coming in to use county services. You go in and there's a front desk, and it's staffed by Leah Watterson when we walked in there, so you could see a Tenino face. And you'll say what you're there for. They give you a cue card, and you'll get cued, say, when the auditor's office is ready for you, and you walk back in there, or the commissioners. And so it's nice. It was good.
If I may,
Okay.
one of the things that we did talk about, in case you're wondering, is the house that's being built outside over by Maytown. We don't spend a whole lot of time on those type of issues, but this time we spent almost a half an hour talking about that house that's going out. Apparently, there's a couple of little things that will stop them from actually taking possession. For example, the sewer system is not large enough, and a few other little things. They can't. They may not be able to be allowed to cook because it's not just a private residence. They're using it as a commercial, and the kitchen's not set up for commercial. So there's some things that might cause them to not have.
So that's where they're at now. The County Board of Health sent a letter to the company. Everybody knows what we're talking about, the Supreme Living House. County Board of Health, county commissioners sent a letter stating that you cannot have 5 people living in a house that only has a 3-person septic, and you cannot use that well is not permitted for such a large type of occupancy. It's not for commercial use. And then the kitchen isn't designed for commercial use and food service. So that letter was presented. They're saying you cannot occupy it until these things have been remedied. I'm sure that Supreme Living will get an opportunity to provide a retort and make some kind of defense against that claim. And that may go back and forth for a while. There's other things that are in the works. The possibility of placing a moratorium throughout the county that would prevent any facility from being built while we figure out how the county would respond to it. So like the issue of only having 1 deputy in that area in the whole David district where we're at, and they would be able to say, hey, we don't have the resources. We need to wait, pause, let us figure it out. So the potential of that moratorium is real. And then in that time, the legislature is working hard. Several members of the legislature are working hard to do things that would kind of tighten the restrictions on where those facilities can be placed. So, if you believe that a residential neighborhood in a rural community is not appropriate for like a high need population like that, the legislature would probably be looking to fix those kind of loopholes and say, hey, you need to be within so many feet or within such distance of a full-time police department. You need to be within such a distance as a treatment facility for the type of things that those offenders are in there for, or a hospital. So they're working on that. The people from McNeil, they can go into it's called an SCTF, a Secure Community Transition Facility, or an LRA, a less restrictive alternative. The SCTFs, there's only 2 of them in the state, and they're like 1 step down from a prison. The LRAs are kind of like halfway houses, but there's nowhere to go after that halfway. What Representative Couture is looking to create is something in between those, where there would be greater security measures and greater requirements for offenders of that nature to be in that facility. So there are things in the works.
I just wanted to bring that up so that people know where we are at this point in time.
So I'm sorry, Wayne, I don't know if you can answer this one or not, but having just said all that with the dwelling and the kitchen and everything, so as of right now, is nobody moving in February 1st that was planned?
That is the notice that the county has given to Supreme Living, as I understand it, is you cannot move anyone in there until you have solved these problems. They may have an attorney that comes back and says, well, these aren't problems because of such, and such. And so that kind of thing can go back and forth. So, but as of tonight, my understanding is that they were told, no, don't move anybody in there and do what you said you're going to do because you're not meeting these standards.
I just think it's really important that everybody understand that there are a lot of different entities working on this problem. The county, the state, they're working on the problem.
And a lot of angry parents.
Very.
And they're the grassroots effort that is coming from this area is the strongest, way to advocate for these things.
Yeah.
That Representative Couture said every single day is getting hundreds of calls and emails. And I'm sure that's true for a lot of other legislators. And that went from being an issue that nobody knew about as of the 11th when that meeting happened down there.
The 11th.
Nobody knew about that. And here we are a week and a half later,
Yeah.
and there's people at the state capitol. You go into their office and they've got a whiteboard, and that is the top thing on their whiteboard. So we are on the top of their legislative agendas now. That's powerful, and that comes from, all you folks being, getting on the keyboard instead of complaining about what the mayor's doing. You're advocating and working on things to make your community better, and I appreciate that.
It's just another first for Tenino.
Yeah.
We're out ahead of the crowd.
All right, that is the end of our work session, and we'll continue our reports at the end, towards the end of our agenda during our business meeting. So I'm going to take 30 seconds for a recess between the work session and the regular meeting.
Just didn't want that to be overlooked. A little on the important side.
Yeah. I don't know. Call him. We can postpone it. What? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the January. It does every time. Welcome to the January 24th, 2023 Tenino City Council meeting. Let the record show that all council members are present. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have an agenda before us needing approval.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We have the minutes for the 1/10/23 meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
It has been moved and it has been seconded to present the minutes, to approve the minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Our consent calendar, this is consisting of January 11th, 2023 through January 24th, 2023. Payroll EFTs in the amount of $39,645.69. Claims checks number 31137 through 31162. And EFTs in the amount of $96,738.86 for a grand total of $136,384.55, along with liquor and cannabis license renewals for the 1776 Bar, Three Amigos, Don Juan's, same place, Tenino VFW.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We have no executive session. We have no presentations. That brings us to public comments. If there is anyone in the audience tonight that would like to provide public comment, now is your time to do so. Please step forward to the lectern, state your name and your address, and you'll be given 3 minutes to provide public comment. Nope, not your turn yet. I mean, you can provide public comment, but you're on the agenda. Cool your jets. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment? All right, moving on. We have no public hearings, and we have no well, we do have a proclamation, but it was meant to be presented by Jessica and Rich.
Yeah, she's not answering me.
So I would like to just leave it on the agenda and move to new business, because that is their big thing. That brings us to new business. The Tenino Community Service Center would like to introduce their new program. That is a non-governing board represented by Tenino High School students learning about the Tenino Food Bank and Tenino City government. So they're here tonight to witness a meeting, and they're also here tonight to talk to us about their new program. Jody, would you like to come up and talk to us about this?
final interview with them, with board members. And so they're coming on board so that they can learn hands-on city government and how it's run. So I'm asking all of you to please help educate. That is part of what they do for every month. They will be giving a report for Tenino Community Service Center every month. Either one or both or however they're going to do it. They have to fix the schedule. I give them the information, then it's on them. They also sit upon our board so that they can learn about governing boards.
Is your
and-
microphone on?
I don't know.
Will you see if the green light's on? Rhona's messaging me that, thank you.
Ron is our keeper of the microphones.
She's watching on YouTube and she can't hear you.
Well, maybe that's a good thing.
There you go. Now it's on.
Okay, so anyway, then these students will be able to learn what a governing board on a nonprofit does as well. So this is all an education thing for them. So please let's be mindful of that. There may be some questions that these students have because they may not understand how this is going. And then once they come up here, if you would just introduce them or introduce yourselves to them and let them know. So, Linda, you are City Council Position 1.
I am.
Yes, and what you do in Position 1. So you are
I'm
also
Mayor Pro Tem. You want me to wait till they get up
yes,
here?
but that is the example. I would like you to not assume that they know, okay? So we have Atlas with us tonight. You can stand up, Atlas. Yeah, say hello. Say hello. And we have Caden. We
there.
would like to thank for the support of the City Council and the Tenino School District. Do you have anything to say? No, not you. Not you.
You told me I had to say something.
Yes, would you stand?
You don't ever say anything like it's optional, Jody.
No, nothing's optional.
Will you go to the microphone though? I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
Okay.
There's a whole 10 people watching.
Mr. Hyder, would you please step up here too and have something to say?
Watching around the world.
I know.
Okay.
Oh, God.
I think I'm gonna have to move
Make
this
sure
up
you
just a
introduce
step.
yourself and tell
I
us
will
what
gladly
you do
introduce
and don't
myself.
assume anything.
I won't. I'm Clint Endicott, Superintendent with Tenino Schools. Caden and Atlas actually exemplify, I think, the best of what we have to offer in the halls of Tenino High School. They're involved in everything, and to step up to this, like whenever we see Beaver broadcasts or videos that are being produced, they're always in them. They're not always front and center. They really understand what leadership is. It's not always about me being the face of it, but it's helping make sure that things are happening. And this is an example of that. So I wasn't at all surprised to hear that they stepped up to this challenge. Jody's been fantastic. We've got a great partnership with the food bank. A lot of really wonderful things happening, and we really look forward to that continuing as we move forward into the years to come. Is that sufficient?
Yes.
Okay.
You get an A.
Thanks so much, Jody.
I'll get you a gold star.
We should have gone in height order. My name's Scott Hyder. I'm the principal of Tenino High School, and I'd just add my comments to these two fine young people. You couldn't ask for two better working combination individuals. One loves to be in front of the audience, speaking all the time, and the other one does not want to be in the front of the audience, but
Let me guess.
Is the background
Let me guess
and
which
the
one is
pusher. I'm not going to tell you, right? So you are going to absolutely love getting to know them, and they are fantastic. So thank you for having us.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you. This is cool, and the city of Tenino has, I think, a great track record in interfacing with exemplary students. It was 2 years ago, was it? We appointed, what was once the ASB president, Cutter Copeland. I think he was 20 years old, and we appointed him to city council.
He sat right there.
Yeah, he's like, I believe, the youngest city council person in Washington State history. So we love this kind of thing. Would you guys like to come up and introduce yourselves?
She's saying no.
And then Jody told us we have to introduce ourselves to you. So I'm Wayne. Now it sounds like the Mickey Mouse Club. I'm Wayne. I'm the mayor. Wayne Fournier is my full name. Well, it's actually Wayne Richard Fournier Jr. If that matters. Am I doing good, Jody?
Your middle name is.
Jody.
Yes.
Jody wants us to be thorough. I sit as the mayor, and the mayor is the executive officer of the city. In the city of Tenino, we have a strong mayor form of government, which is different than, say, like Lacey, which has a city manager form of government. And so they're all elected council members, and then amongst themselves they choose who the mayor is. But the mayor's not truly an executive; they work with the city manager. Here in Tenino, as the mayor, you're the CEO. You supervise all the staff. You're responsible for the budget and making sure that the budget is presented to the council. And executive means to execute, right? So you're in charge of making sure that the rules that these folks create are followed, and the plans that these folks create are worked on, and the money is kept safe. And I try my best. So that is my job. Will you start with Linda?
I'm Linda K. Godevac. Don't listen to him when he calls me Linda J.
Okay, yes.
I'm also Mayor Pro Tem. I sit in council seat, position 1.
A mayor pro tem means
When the mayor is not available, I'm the mayor.
if I'm assassinated.
And I move up. Excuse me. And I'm part of making the rules, that's it. He has to execute them, and we make them.
So the council is the legislative body. So, right, you got the 3 branches of government, the judicial, executive, and legislative. They are the legislative, I'm in the executive. And then on occasion, the judicial branch, we have a judge that comes in and runs our municipal court. So we're one of the few cities that has its own court system. So we've got all 3 branches here in the city of Tenino, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
And my name is Elaine Clam, and I'm in council position 1, and I'm the newest one here. So I'm learning along with.
And you sit on a few
the others.
boards.
I do sit on solid waste board, and I am on the financial committee.
So the financial committee is a standing committee of our council that's in the city of Tenino. The solid waste advisory board is a countywide regional advisory board that will sit amongst several other, government officials and appointed citizens, and they advise on things such as how to deal with solid waste. Really, that's
New
about.
programs.
Yeah, they
Recycling.
oversee. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
My name is John Joseph O'Callaghan, fine
John J.
American Irishman. Okay, remember American first. And I have position 3. I'm on the Transportation Policy Board, Thurston Regional Planning Council. That board looks at Thurston County as a broader picture, 20, 30 years down the road to try to slowly, softly guide how our population is going to grow. Since I've been on the board, I've been here since 1996, and during that time they thought we were going to hit 400,000. We just hit 300. So we're just a little bit over $300,000. So we've been able to grow nice and easy without having to worry too much, which is a good way for an area to grow. If you grow too fast, you got all kinds of problems with infrastructure and safety and fire and all that kind of good stuff. I'm also on the Transportation Policy Board, which looks at all forms of transportation in Thurston County, from walking to driving electric vehicles. And in the future, if you looked into the future for transportation after electric vehicles, we're going to start seeing flying cars eventually. I've got the nickname of George Jetson because I'm the one that keeps saying we need to look at this a lot better. All the different regulations and stuff. I'm also a fire commissioner for Thurston, for us, South Thurston Fire Commissioner. I'm also the president of the Thurston County Fire Commissioners Association, and we look at not just Thurston County, at least in my second role, we again look at Thurston County as a whole and what we can do to make the fire service better for us and for Thurston County. For example, February 17th, we're going to descend upon the state to start saying, well, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. For example, one of the things that I've thought about for a while, and it is slowly being talked about, is a way for the state to come up with a fund so that it makes it easier for a fire department to build new stations when it's needed or get new equipment when it's needed, because it's getting extremely expensive, and sometimes it's not easy for everybody to say yes to a vote saying, okay, we're going to give you more money. For example, this last time we went out for a vote to build a new station. We barely got that passed. I mean, barely. We didn't know until the very last day of counting. Otherwise, I'm just a lazy guy. I don't do a whole lot for the kids.
So there's a lot of outside boards. You know, it ebbs and flows. You know, based on the appetite of the council and the ability, because all these folks have lives and jobs outside of this. But we don't just. It's important to think about the fact that we don't just do these meetings. It's important that we have a regional presence and that Tenino is building up its influence so that we can make sure that the needs of our community are met. And you don't just do that by sitting in this room. You have to get outside. You have to go to the state capitol. You have to go to the county, and you have to, you know, throw your shoe at somebody in another meeting and make sure that you're heard.
One of the important things about being an outside influence is if you just try to fund things within Tenino itself, we're too small. Okay, you've seen our streets, and we're finally getting a little bit of work done on some of them. But when we get outside of Tenino, we start talking with the state legislators, we start talking with the county, sometimes there's funds that we can access that we didn't know if we weren't out there.
Yeah,
So
the world is run by the people that show up to do it. So if you're not at the table, you're not going to get an opportunity to find those resources. Jason?
And I'm Jason Lawton. I'm position number 4 here, and I represent the Be That Dakota Tenino Healthy Action Team. So.
Okay.
My name is Rachel Davidson. I'm council number 5, and I represent the school district. So what I bring to council, I keep track of the daily news, and I report to them on events that are coming up. If there is any updates going on, I let them know. I also talk with Superintendent Endicott, and we go back and forth, and he lets me know if there's anything else I can add, any fun, exciting things. So that's my job.
So that's us. Now, tell us about you.
My name is Caden Lindholm, and I am a high school student. That's all that's interesting about me. Would you like to go ahead?
I'm Atlas Shiwi. I'm a high school student, and that's also everything about me.
All right, thank you. I look forward to seeing you guys at more meetings. Do you have anything else you want to add?
They have reports tonight.
Okay,
When it's their turn.
we'll call them up.
Yes.
Awesome. Schiewe. Am I right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's Casey's daughter. All right, we have no resolutions, we have no ordinance. That brings us back to reports. Next up is Arch Commission. Jessica's not with us tonight, which reminds me, we were told to continue with the proclamation. So I'm gonna jump back to proclamations. Number 5, proclamation for Tenino's sesquicentennial year. By the City of Tenino, a proclamation, sesquicentennial year 2023. Whereas we remember that in 1872, the Northern Pacific Railway's track arrived in the region of Thurston County, Washington Territory, known as Coal Bank, and they're stopped just south of Stephen Hodgdon's farm and stage station. And whereas the Northern Pacific Railroad Company built a depot at this location and named it Tenino. And whereas on May 22nd, 1873, Stephen and Deborah Hodgdon had filed a plat for Hodgdon's addition to Tenino with the Recorder of Thurston County, Washington Territory. And whereas on July 5th, 1873, the plan of Tenino was filed by Lake Superior and Puget Sound Company with the Recorder of Thurston County, Washington Territory. And whereas these two filings together created the town of Tenino, Thurston County, I've gotten to say town of Tenino many times without John correcting me. Thurston County, Washington Territory. Now, therefore, we, the council of the city of Tenino, Washington, do hereby proclaim 2023 to be our sesquicentennial year, and that our community past, present, and future shall be celebrated this year on Saturday, July 8th, with a 150th Jubilee celebrated by our citizens, businesses, and civic organizations, showing the world our Tenino spirit. Signed in the city of Tenino, Washington, this 24th day of January 2023.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proclamation. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, the reason you got away with the town part is because we weren't a city until 1906.
That's true. 1906?
Yeah.
We weren't a city until 1986.
No, 06. We already had our 100th anniversary.
We were incorporated in 1906,
Yeah.
but we weren't a city until like 1986 when they were like recoded. Anyways, we'll figure. All right. We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We're passing it around to sign. Thank you. Jessica and Rich will be happy. That brings us to South Thurston Fire.
Sad news, we lost one of our commissioners, Kip Busby. He passed on Christmas, and we're now looking, we've got a couple of people that we're interviewing to replace him so that we beat the 90-day moratorium on it. So we talked to somebody today, we'll talk to somebody next Tuesday, and so by next council meeting, I believe we should have a new fire commissioner. They'll have to run for the position again come this election cycle, but we'll be fully staffed.
Has that been publicly advertised?
Yes.
Okay. Any further reports? Library.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda McKinney, the library manager here in Tenino. Excuse me for not being at the regular meeting that I come to at the beginning of the month. I had a family emergency, so you get to deal with me today. I'm a little bit disappointed, but not too surprised to let you know that the anticipated date for having expanded access hours at the Tenino Library has slipped to mid-March, and that's still an estimate, having some supply chain issues. Can all sing along to that one. But still are hoping to do that as soon as we possibly can. At the beginning of the year, which was a lot closer to the last meeting than it is this meeting, it's natural to look back at the previous year and kind of see where we were and how we're doing. So I have some information to share with you tonight about that. Just so you know, this information that I'm sharing tonight is available on the library's website, trl.org. It's underneath the About Us tab, and it's under the Open Data tab underneath that. So this is really very exciting to me to see these kinds of numbers that are reflected at the Tenino Library. You can set the report to look at the library system as a whole, but this is just us. We increased our circulation of physical items by more than 54%. Our total circulation was up 25%. That sounds low, but that's only because our electronic circulation wasn't up very much, but that really spiked during the pandemic, so I'm not surprised it didn't go up a ton. A kind of a side note that's exciting is that Timberland Regional Library is one of 127 library systems in the United States that circulates or had more than 1 million checkouts of electronic items in 2022. So I feel like we're in pretty good company. It's pretty exciting to me that our 5-county population is really using the electronic e-books, e-audiobooks, and all of that kind of thing. So The other thing that I thought was particularly interesting was our internet sessions more than doubled. And what that means to me is that people are starting to regain their pre-pandemic library habits, and hopefully that means some more people are finding us a helpful resource as well. Something that can be contributing to that is that, not sure exactly when it was, but it was sometime last year that the number of free prints that you could get from just having a library card increased to $44 a month, which means that you can make 440 black and white copies. And my math isn't good enough on the fly to do how many color copies you can make, but it's 50 cents per side for that. So we've been finding a lot of people take advantage of that. We also have wireless printing, so you can send it from home and then release it when you're there. A tiny little story, the Tenino Young at Heart and the Tenino arts people, I'm thinking of Jenny Hall in particular, she no longer has a color printer because she just comes to the library when they need to print color flyers. And I think what a great way to support the community and a way to really use the library resource. So that's just a tiny little story. So I won't bore you with going over all of these different categories, but like I said, I'm just so happy to see us kind of getting back to our pre-pandemic pace at the library. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I always have to give my plug for going to the website to check to see what we're doing. As far as programs, it's always there under the events tab. So any questions? Yes, sir.
At the study meeting, we were told something about the Dolly Parton's book program.
Yeah, Imagination Station, I think.
Yeah. Do you know anything about that? Because I asked if I could find out if I could buy a few sets of the books instead of just giving cash.
Yeah. So all I know is that they're looking into it, and that I will be hearing more from Jessica Freiberg, our early learning coordinator at the district level, as she meets with them and gets information. She'll be disseminating them to the 5 libraries in Thurston County. But I used to work at the Centralia Timberland Library, and Lewis County has already implemented this. Yes. And I know there was a hugely successful program there, so I'm eagerly awaiting how we can get into it. And
can you tell everybody what it is?
Sure.
We're just talking between you and I.
So I emailed Cheryl after that meeting and asked her for more information so we could get a presentation. But
excellent. Yeah. So just for people who are here tonight, Dolly Parton has set up a foundation that organization that nonprofit groups basically buy into and ask parents of young children to sign their child up, and they get a certain number of books every year. I think it's monthly every year for a certain number of years. And basically it's to encourage early literacy and to have it possible for children to have their own books in their own home. Of course, libraries play an important part in supplying more books, but not everybody can get to the library on a regular basis. And if you ask me, there's a certain magic in having your very own books as well. So I know that there were multiple nonprofits involved in Lewis County, including United Way. So I'm looking forward to having a successful launch here, and I'll keep you updated as I hear more.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything
Thank you,
else?
Linda. Any other questions for Ms. McKinney? All right.
Wait, what happened to Librarian Linda?
I know, I like that. Huh? You like it? I wasn't sure if you liked it or not. Linda the librarian. It's cute. We have no report from the museum tonight. Jessica did not make it. Tenino Community Service Center. Do they have anyone? Are there any representatives from the Tenino Community Service Center? Mr. Caden.
They're so serious.
Well, good evening. I don't know how he knows my name. My name is Ken Lindholm. Is this on?
There you go.
Perfect. My name is Ken Lindholm. I am a student representative on the Tenino Food Bank Board, giving some amazing updates as to what is going on in the coming weeks in Tenino and in our community. First of all, we were talking about Hunger Action Day, and to give a little background as to why we recognize this day, nearly 1 in 11 Washington households struggle to put food on their tables. Food banks in Washington, along with meal programs, are now challenged to meet the continued high demand for food assistance, which is all made possible thanks to our lovely high food prices, supply chain disruptions, and shortage of labor. Amen, somebody. The Hunger Action Day is on Tuesday, February the 7th, 2023. This is a very important lobbying day for food justice advocates. These advocates will meet with representatives and encourage them to take meaningful policy action to address the root causes of hunger in Washington states. Our very own Jody Stoltz and Pat Howler will be in attendance and will be speaking with our 20th district legislators. Again, this is Tuesday, February the 7th. Secondly, on a more happy and more bright note, instead of hunger, bingo night is coming up. I know we all go crazy for bingo. This is February 10th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Tenino Eagles. All proceeds help fund our Tenino High School senior scholarships. Bingo cards are $2 each, so really cheap. And if you bring in 5 cans of food, you get an extra card. So when you have a bad bingo card, you get a second one to make it up for it. You can bring your friends, family, co-workers to join in on the fun. It did not say cats or hamsters, so we don't want those in there at all. Last time we had a problem with that. Just kidding. And also, to access the Eagles bar, you must be a member or a signed-in guest. That is all. Now moving on to my partner in crime, Atlas.
Hello. The Tenino Community Service Center would like to share their biggest thanks to the Tenino VFW Post for hosting the COVID-19 vaccine clinics these past couple months. Vaccines can be received at Heddens or through the Thurston County Health Department. Phase 2 of our fencing upgrade due to a break-in will be completed this week. Okay. We are still in court with a gentleman that broke in, but updates on the subject will be forthcoming as we allow. That's it.
Thank you. Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Great report. Thank you very much. Civil Service Commission, no report. Facade Improvement Grant Review Committee.
No report.
Finance Committee, I do not believe you have met. Planning Commission. The Planning Commission, Jen, did you have anything to add?
There's a vacancy.
So we currently have a vacancy on the Planning Commission. You heard last meeting that we had Aaron Conradi who resigned. The vacancy has been posted, and if anyone in the audience or anyone on YouTube or on the interweb is interested, you can go to our website and you can see the application on there. To be a Planning Commission member, you do not necessarily need to be a resident of the city of Tenino. If we have a vacancy amongst the seats that are allowed for out-of-city residents, which I'm not do we? Aaron lived in the city. Everybody else lives in the city. So there is an allowance for somebody from outside the city to participate in the Planning Commission meetings. So if you're interested, fill out an application. If you want to learn more about it, contact City Hall and we can tell you how that works. Not necessarily Planning Commission, but we met with the city planner today, the staff and the building official and Aslan from the EDC. We met and we talked about the Planning Commission's agenda for 2023. Big ticket items are finishing the housing action plan, beginning work on comp plan updates. That's a big 2-year process, or no longer than 2-year process. Exciting news is that we have funding from the state, I want to say about $125,000 to fund the comp plan update, which is going to be a lot of work, but it's a big deal. It's basically the biggest document or the biggest process or the biggest plan next to the budget that the city council participates in. So there's going to be a lot of work on our part and a lot of work on the Planning Commission's part. And then we talked about things within the comp plan that we would be working on. So urban growth boundaries, city boundaries, planning for growth. Oh, yeah, well, that wouldn't be in the comp plan, but growth planning would be in the comp plan. And then, you know, how we zone things. It's exciting for nerds. Sorry. Yeah, it is.
I'm really sorry I missed it.
Yeah. Public Safety Committee has not met. Chief of Police, he did not have much to contribute to tonight other than he has been working, and I've been talking to the superintendent, and we're kicking around the idea of being able to use the school's gas pumps, and that might have some budget benefits to the city of Tenino. So that is being worked on. Other than that, they are working on their normal crime-fighting duties. Director of Public Works, I think he's probably at the Eagles trying to win that some card game. $47,000. 37.
The
Yeah.
playground, there was a playground update, they started prepping for all the concrete work.
So prep work for the new playground, prep for the concrete on the new playground is underway. We also met, and this is my report, his report. We also met with the engineers from the company we have hired to plan out phase 2 of the quarry pool renovations, and that would be done on the lake side of the pool, and that's exciting because we're seeing movement there. City planner, again, we met with him today. Code enforcement building inspector is not with us tonight. Park specialist did not make it tonight. Clerk treasurer, your report, please.
I don't have a ton to report, just continuing to work on the audit with the auditor's office, and our new employee started last week. I'm sorry I didn't remind her to come tonight to meet you all, but I definitely will have her come next time. She's working out amazing, so good match.
Awesome, thank you. Did you, we have begun the audit. Did you mention that?
Yes.
Okay, okay. You didn't really say much on it, but
It's a really good time.
it's a good time.
It's going great.
Yeah.
No sarcasm.
Yeah. Thank you, clerk treasurer. Mayor's report. I, of course, as always, am busy mayoring. I kind of gave a brief report in the work session on that Supreme Living situation. So if you hadn't heard, there was kind of a community meeting that was held for a facility that is intended to be placed out on 148th. That isn't necessarily in the city of Tenino, but quite often when something is within our zip code, it says Tenino on the address. So like basically anything within the school district, it also comes across my desk, even though folks don't realize they live in the city proper. And there's a lot of misunderstandings in that, and I try my best to explain it, but it always leads to heartache. And so this facility is slated to be in the Maytown area, but because they have a Tenino address, we have been interfacing and kind of working through the situation with folks. Again, I talked about it in the work session. That has taken up quite a bit of time, and I think it's worthwhile because, now it's stuck to us, and it affects the school, it affects communities around us, and so we're kind of, while the city itself is restricted to certain boundaries, we do have a responsibility to our neighbors. Another thing working on is the legislative session is in session, which I can let Linda talk about more, but I'm going up to Olympia and working on things. We are making asks of the legislature, and some of those are monetary. The Park Commission is working with the Tenino stone carvers, and the Park Commission itself, on behalf of the stone carvers, is making an ask of around $180,000 to provide upgrades to some of their stone carving facilities. They need things like, rocks are heavy, so they need things like specific types of hoists to be able to raise these large stone objects out of flatbed trucks and get them into place so that they can work on them. And they're, upgrading their classroom facilities. The city itself is asking for funding for what I believe we're calling like phase 3 of our park development or our park renovations. So as we have received funding and we're knee deep in upgrades on the playground, and we've upgraded to have the pump track. We have funding in our budget to improve the campgrounds. We've added the circumferential trail around the park. We have the funding and we're underway on our renovations of the quarry house. We have done upgrades to the museum through funding from the port and the county. We are underway in renovating the quarry pool with about, I want to say, $1.5 million in CDBG funds. Our next ask and the next thing that we really need to work on is bathroom upgrades. We have 3 bathroom facilities in our park, one within the pool that also has like a changing room and bathhouse it's grossly inadequate. We have a bathroom that is where the pump track and playground facility is, and it was only 2 small bathrooms, and they were built in probably the mid-70s, early 70s, out of just the CMU block. They're too small, they're poorly protected, and they just don't work. So we need a few more bathrooms there because we're expecting larger crowds in the summers, and we want ones that we can secure at night without having to, say, pay a police officer to come at 7 o'clock at night and close it. We want to be able to do that on timers and things like that. It is a constant problem. Several weeks, several instances throughout the year, every year, that we'll have a fire inside there. We'll come on in the morning, and Public Works will find the bathrooms covered in human waste or graffiti or things of that nature. So at night, not having them locked is an issue, but it is difficult to coordinate morning and night of closing and opening. So we want to be able to do that on a timer or remotely. So we're looking to upgrade that. The other bathroom we want to upgrade is in the campground. We estimate that about $700,000. It's very expensive to replace these things. They've got to be ADA accessible. They've got to have a lot of requirements. And so there are prefabbed units that we have prices on, and we're looking at being able to purchase 3 new bathrooms, 1 being a bathhouse, and then placing them basically where the existing structures are. If all works out, we'd be able to do that, but devil's in the details. The other project that we're really pushing hard for is in cooperation with the Thurston EDC and the Ag Park, and I've provided handouts for everybody. It looks like some of the stuff is missing. What we're asking for is $2 million. This is for phase 3 of the Ag Park construction. Phase 1 was doing the groundwork. We're now in phase 2, which involves actual construction. We have received through private and public funds around $6 million in funding for the Ag Park, which is very impressive. And you can expect our first building going out to bid in the next few weeks, hopefully. Troy always says 2 weeks for everything, but we are very close, and we're asking for money for the 3rd building. Other than that, staff meetings, onboarding new staff, and working with Jen on the audit. Be that.
There's no report, but to add 2 things about that Sickening Supreme Living group, there is a rally at 4:30 on Thursday at the Capitol.
Thank you.
And then also Sheriff Sanders is putting together a town hall meeting this Sunday at the high school at 4 o'clock. And DSHS and DOC will also be there too.
Thank you. Solid Waste Advisory Board.
Next week.
Yes, ma'am. TCOM, no report. Tenino School Board. We have the superintendent, if you don't mind. Rachel, would you mind if he gives the report?
Sure. I did want to.
You got something to say.
I did want to bring up about the auction and tonight's game.
It's on.
It's on. Am I not close?
He's not ready to
After
tell
you.
him what to
Yeah.
do.
After you, I'll just add my 2 cents.
Okay.
Well, we've had a busy start to the year. I do appreciate Rachel reaching out to me regularly to know what's going on in the district. It's killing me to be here, although I love supporting our students, but we do have senior night tonight for boys basketball, so I'm hoping I catch like the last 2 minutes. I keep texting the AD. But we last night we had the opportunity to recognize a graduate from 1981. If you didn't see the King 5 news coverage of that, so we had person reach out to Principal Hyder and say that, I'm sorry, I'm a little under the weather, that they never received their diploma. They did an exchange program in Norway. Mr. Hyder worked with them, reviewed transcripts, information. Then they were able to, we were able to issue her the diploma and give her some cake last night. Have a little
Can she
celebration.
walk
It was really
with the students at graduation?
No, she came last night.
Oh, that would be funny if she walked with all the 18-year-olds.
You know, we asked because, you know, not everybody wants a public recognition or anything, but she was really excited about the opportunity. And then just, yeah. It's a graduating class of one. So it was a really nice experience for everybody. And as you know, we did send out an announcement. Tragically, we did have a graduate pass with several members of the family on Saturday, and so we sent out notice today for opportunities for people to be able to contribute to that. And again, that hits the entire community very hard. And just, you know, on a positive note, again, the girls, their senior night's this Friday, so hopefully we get to see some faces there. I'll be there. Again, Sheriff Sanders did reach out to me today to secure some space for Sunday at 4 o'clock, so we're going to be there. Again, we made space available this last Sunday, but that was with the group that was organizing that, Sarah Carey and Kendall. So, but yeah, we've got a lot going on, a lot of great things happening in the schools. But again, when things come up that are this high in emotion, you know, it kind of puts a pause on some of the things, and we want to make sure that we're instrumental in that. And as a district, we are working with all of our partners. Again, we appreciate, Wayne, that you don't have a lot that you can do, but we know that you are doing what you can by reaching out to the connections that you have, and we're trying to do the same. So at the city, county, and state level, wherever we can, get attention to oppose this project that creates a safety issue for our community and our students. We're working on that as well. So
Excellent.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's great that you recognize that your community is not just your current students, but the alumni like the Cox family and the person that got their diploma after 41 years. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Thanks so much.
41 years, wow.
I just wanted to also add about the auction. So the auction at Hillside Farms on March 11th, it's going to start at 6 p.m. The link for tickets is now on the district web and also on the PTSA Facebook page. And the tickets start at $50, but all the proceeds go to the district. So I just wanted to, because I reported on it last time, but now the tickets are actually on sale now. So.
I got my tickets. Joyce and I are going.
Nice. I will see you there.
Awesome. Thank you. TRPC.
There it is. I'm going to cover TRPC and TPB all at the same time. And the reason for that, this is the time of year when we're starting to work on priorities, what we're going to look at and hopefully get funded as far as transportation for Thurston County. The big thing, though, that everybody's been aware of is the airport. Finally, we got the Thurston Regional Planning Council to send a letter against the airport. I was one of the people that pushed hard on this, and the reason for it is because Thurston Regional Planning Council is the major planner for Thurston County. My argument for this letter was if the major planners for the county won't step up and support the citizens, then what are we there for? So we finally got the letter signed. It's off to, what is it called, the CAC or something like that?
CACC.
The CACC, which is a body that was put together on a state side without any notification. Our director for the Thurston Regional Planning Council is not even part of this. It's just a bunch of people that the state decided to put together. So we finally got that letter out, and I'm quite happy with that letter. So that means every jurisdiction in Thurston County has sent something to this group and saying, no, this is not the place to have a brand new airport put in. One of the biggest reasons that I could see is one is that the citizens don't want it. The second one is that if you look at what would happen to Thurston County if we put a airport in here, we will not be Thurston County in anything but name within a short period of time. Once they start putting it in, our population would just explode with all these new people, never mind the noise pollution and what would happen to the land itself. So everybody, including this body here, has sent a letter up saying, no, do not put the airport here. Hopefully that works. We don't know because they're not really telling us anything. But that's what I have for TRPC and TPB.
Thank you, sir. All right, legislative report.
Not a lot.
Third week. What's
Not a
happening?
lot, third week, but it's still pretty slow up there. Just judging by the calls coming in, the abortion issue is huge. Not a lot for the city. There is a vehicle pursuit bill, 1363, that is in the House. The Senate bill, the chair of the Law and Justice Committee said it would not be heard in her committee. But Roger Goodman is the chair of the safety. They change the names of these committees every year. So anyway, the one in the House, and the bill number is 1363, but it is to try to fix the problem with vehicle pursuit the way it is now for the law enforcement, so that they can, it changes the wording so that they won't have
To
quite
allow
so much
reasonable
trouble.
suspicion
Right.
instead of probable cause.
Right.
The ADBC put out a good one page on it that I can get you guys at the next meeting. But so what does that mean? If the Senate says that we won't hear it in our Law and Justice Committee and it won't move in the Senate, but it's got traction in the House, what?
Well, it has not been scheduled for a hearing in the House. That's why it's important for people to get a hold of their legislators, to get a hold of Representative Goodman to put it on to give it a hearing, because it has not been scheduled for a hearing yet.
Okay.
So, and unless it's heard.
The Senate side, it's not going to get a hearing.
No,
Like she helped draft the initial bill.
Yeah, Senator Dingra.
Dingra.
She's not going to hear it. She said that. She came out in a report. Out in the media.
Yeah, I thought it was telling. The AWC's report said that 62% of all cities have stated that their police departments have now had issues where people will just flat out flee and not stop.
Yeah.
And they
do it
know
all
that
the
they
time.
can't be pursued.
Yeah. And so anyway, hopefully Representative Goodman will give it a hearing, and there'll be enough good testimony to get it. But then getting it over to the Senate, because it has to go through the same process once it passes out of the House as it did. So it just could be that she won't do it there unless they can figure out how to get it in a different committee. And that can be done also.
Interesting. Thank you, Linda. Public comment period number 2. If there is anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment, this is your opportunity to do so. You'll be given 3 minutes. State your name and address. I see no one moving. Going once. Going twice. Gone. That brings us to announcements. Is there anyone that would like to provide an announcement? Jason, you already gave some about the meeting on Sunday and about the rally on Thursday.
I want to ask John, is it March what for the crab feed?
March 4th, I was just about to bring that up. Thank you.
Yeah, March
Yeah.
4th, yeah. Yeah,
Mar-
and I just told Jan I'm going to bring a check so they can go over and get me a couple tickets, because I
Yeah, you got to go over to the department. We're not
Right.
set up so that you can get it online yet. Wayne's going to give me $90 for his 2 tickets. Some of the county commissioners have already told me that they're going to be there. This is the first one that we've been able to do in 3 years. We'll have the live auction. We'll have the silent auction. The crab, we had to increase the price of the tickets from $35 to $45, which is basically just paying for the crab.
It's pretty incredible, that ticket
Yeah.
price, though, because when we were doing it 25 years ago, the price was $20.
Yeah.
So find me something else that has only gone up that much in the world.
So it's March 4th from 4 till 7 o'clock as usual. We'll be over at the fire department right over here. And it's good times for everybody. Bring your friends, bring your family, bring people you don't like too, because we could use the money.
And I was talking to Sherry Bachman the other day, and we were trying to figure out which year this is, and we figured out that this is the actual 40th year of the crab feed. It was started in 1983. So that's kind of cool.
I'm bringing my cousin Colleen, and her maiden name is Kaiton. Her grandfather was the first mayor of Tenino, and he owned that property. And he donated it to the city,
Yeah.
yeah, years ago. So Colleen's
Awesome.
going with me to that.
So if you're thinking about getting tickets, get them quick, because I was just down at a meeting and they're going quick.
All right, any further announcements?
Non-debatable motion.
Meeting adjourned. I'm sorry. I'm so